topic for the panel discussion is artificial intelligence for the real world. I request the panelists. Krishna Chaitanya Puttugunta is a prominent figure in the world of AI-based operation management solutions for fashion and lifestyle brands. As a co-founder of Zaperio AI, he has played a pivotal role in revolutionizing the fashion industry by introducing cutting-edge technology into the creative process. With over a decade of industry experience, Krishna has been at the forefront of developing innovative solutions that empower designers and brands to harness the power of generative AI. Through Zaperio AI's platform, he has enabled designers to seamlessly create custom products and models, ushering in a new era of creative and efficiency in the fashion and lifestyle sectors. Krishna's passion for technology and his commitment to driving change within the industry make him a true visionary in the field of AI-powered AI-powered fashion management solutions. We welcome you, Krishna Chaitanya. Dr. Venugopal, our second panelist, is DGM AI/ML and working with ZF Group. Dr. Venugopal is a seasoned advanced analytics evangelist with over 18 years of experience in various industries. He's a data scientist, economist, and techno-functional consultant, known for covering business problems into analytic solutions. He specializes in manufacturing and market intelligence. Enabling organizations to excel with analytics, driven by his passion, he's established centers for excellence in disruptive technologies like AI and ML and blockchain. His expertise includes generalized linear modeling, time series modeling, and deep learning. And he's a proficient in various data science and engineering tools, including SAS, Python, big data tools like Hadoop and Hive. Currently, he serves as DGM AI/ML with ZF Group. We welcome you, Dr. Venugopal. Som Sundar, our third panelist, Som Sundar Konduri, is working as a senior director with HR BP lead. Som Sundar, you come on. You and I work in the same HR space. He works with ADP. Som Sundar holds the esteemed position of Senior Director and India in HR Business and Business Partnering, HR BP, and a lead at ADP. With an extensive background in HR, Som Sundar brings a wealth of experience in his role. He is instrumental in guiding ADP's HR strategies and initiatives in India, ensuring that they are closely aligned with the company's overpowering objectives. Som Sundar's leadership and dedication is elevating HR process to make HR practices make him a key contributor to ADP's continued success in the ADP market in India and abroad. Our fourth panelist, Amit Sharma, is the Senior Director of Data Science with Global AI Accelerator, GAIA, and a leadership team working with Ericsson. In his current role, Amit is responsible for building data-driven solutions using AI and ML technologies towards intelligent automation in the telecom domain. Prior to this, he was leading AI/ML capability for ADP in the HR/talent domain. With 24 years of experience in product development and technology leadership, Amit is extremely passionate about design, architecture, data, and loves to solve real-world problems with technology. We welcome all of you. I'm Srilata Shankar. I'll be moderating the session. I am an HR and L&D leader like Som. I have been working in various companies, banking, telecom, IT, and ITES. I also teach HR at MBA colleges. I conduct soft skill workshops for MBA colleges, engineering colleges, and corporate companies. I do a little bit of content writing. I've been dabbling with poetry for the last 5 years. I've written about 37 poems so far. I hope to publish a book soon. I have a creative side to me. I do tangible painting, block printing, tie and dye, and pottery. I have an adventure side to me as well. I have done bungee jumping, paragliding, zip lining, and Tarzan swing. I've added another layer to my personality recently, collaborating with ITTV Global Media. We started a leadership series talk. We've done 3 episodes so far, and I hope to interview all of you, if not all of you, at least most of you. And I hope to touch 100 episodes soon. Thank you. Can you share a specific example of an AI application in your industry that has brought significant change or value?
Okay. Firstly, coming from the HR space, representing the HR fraternity, along with Lata over here, thank you for having me, first of all, amongst all the product management community. Oftentimes got tempted to move on to the product side as well. Amit knows this, some of my other fraternity people, Ranjan knows this. So really glad and privileged to be here. Now, on the technology front, I may not be as an expert as all of you sitting here, but definitely on the thought process and approaches on how we can enable and facilitate some of these things as a culture across amongst all the employees in the organization is where my expertise lies in. So coming to the question on what we have done in the space, it's the buzzword right now. But first and foremost, I want to give the context again is we may have a lot of knowledge and expertise with us, each one of us brings to the table, but do we showcase all of it for the reason of showing it or to really solve some real problems? So for us at ADP, it's majorly the whole strategy is towards client being a North Star for us. As you know, how do we look at the experiences itself for that matter? What are we delivering for them, right? Ramesh spoke about the experiences of Apple, etc. That was the North Star for them. Functionality, capabilities, we may have all of that, but what are we trying to address? So in that light, keeping that particular aspect in mind, how can we enable and provide better experience for your clients? One of the examples I can share is we have something called as chat summarization. This is something that in one of the products, a lot of our client service reps receive calls, they have to take case notes. It's a manual, tedious process. However, we have lately integrated that. We have integrated the Gen AI into the systems wherein they can focus taking the calls and provide those insightful expertise while addressing their problems and not worry about taking notes, right? The Gen AI tool just captures all the information, summarizes, and it's bye-bye case notes. So that's a major achievement. Imagine the amount of work it saves for the client service reps in providing and just being focused on the call when they take in resoluting, providing resolutions for people who are calling us. So that's one of the examples, at least in the coming from the HCM space, being a HR practitioner, a real life example that we can talk about on the strides that we have already taken at ADP.
Right. I move on to you. What are some unique challenges your industry faces when implementing AI, and how are these being addressed?
Sure, thanks Lata, and thanks for having me, guys. Worked with ADP for so long that each one of you, I think I can connect with most of you anyways, and happy to be here, so thanks for that. And for the last 4 years, I've been working in telecom domain. Since you guys are abundantly aware of the problems in HR, I'll talk about the telecom domain where we have been trying to and been successful at applying some of the AI solutions. But to her question about what are the challenges faced, let me tell you the problem in the first place, because otherwise I cannot express the challenge contextually. So the problem we are solving are in the sense energy and sustainability. Energy management is a big deal. Nowadays, as we roll out 5G, the problem is these are power hungry devices. To serve better, to give you the bandwidth, like 1 Gbps per user kind of a bandwidth throughput, all of it requires a lot of power consumption. And those cell towers you see and those rectangular antennas tilting like a 120-degree angle, those are actually today the ones that connect to you, talk to you like several times in a single millisecond. To be able to do that, it hogs a lot of energy. And to be able to manage that energy, they have these things called sleep modes. So to be able to turn on the sleep mode or turn it off at the right time, depending on the expected traffic or the current traffic, in a way that reduces the energy footprint, but at the same time does not take away the optimal delivery of quality of service should there be a change in the frequency of people, number of people. So all of this takes a lot of computing, and that's what AI is there to solve. Now, in solving this, coming to her question about what are the challenges faced, the challenges are along, again, this is the engineering domain. You know, you're solving telecom problems. So the problems are also that you have to solve them on the edge. If you want to use AI, here you have to have AI kind of a capability. It's far more easier if you have a SaaS-based hosting where you can also deploy your heavy lifting on the SaaS side and have the solutions, the smarts delivered on the edge. But here you have to make a millisecond, microsecond-based decision. So putting it all on the embedded, space is where the challenges lie from a hardware and, point of view. From a software and the compute point of view, the amount of data is humongous. And with 5G, as you know, is a higher, a millimeter wave, so a higher frequency kind of a communication carrier. So what happens is with higher frequency, the kind of range that gets reduced. You all know the AM radios used to have like countrywide ranges, while FMs have citywide. And 5G has a few hundred meters, whereas 4G goes in the 2-kilometer range. So because it gets absorbed so fast, there are far more towers and far more these devices which need to now talk to each other and far more data than ever. So if the data plane gets used by its own bandwidth in order to manage itself, that is going to be a big challenge. So apart from putting things into embedded, we also deal with this handling. How can we minimize the data transfer for managing the network itself in an intelligent way, yet provide the optimal energy consumption and quality of service to the end user? Some of the examples, there are so many I could talk all day, but I'll just hand it over to my colleagues now.
Thank you. Dr. Venugopal, moving on to you. In view of in your view, what are the gaps between the potential of AI and its current real-world impact?
As I said, first of all, I want to define what is AI, okay? AI in a nutshell is called a paradigm, okay? So everything starts with data, okay? You have a data, and then the data has to be used for your decision making. So in the process, the first and foremost step is data management. You don't get cleaned data like what you get a textbook data kind of thing. So the first and foremost thing is the data which has to be managed, okay? And the managed data, we need to generate an insights. So there's a data management, then we need to use it for insight generation, then the whole process has to be automated. So this process of automation is basically, most of the processes are messy, and most of the processes are kind of where we do a lot of human intervention, and then we tend to see a lot of mistakes. Then the third and important point is in automation side of it. Then the fourth point here is, once you have that, you should also have a predictability of the data. The data what you have should able to predict something in the future, or it can predict if it is a time series kind of thing, we can predict a future, or if it is a cross-sectional kind of thing, we can use the next happening event across the similarity kind of stuff. And once you have a predictability, that predictability should lead to a concept called, what you call it as, it has to use for a decision making. So if you put all these 5 things together, I call it as a paradigm, okay? Predicting, okay? And then using for results orientation, and then it will be used for all these 5 things will put as a PAIA RIDM, okay? So that's the AI is. And if you ask the particular question about what are the real life use cases of AI, so there are 2 aspects of AI, okay? And this is a context of product management. So there are 2 concepts again here. The first concept is AI product manager and using AI in product management or product development, okay? How can you use, what is the difference between AI product manager and regular product manager? So AI product managers are basically, they generally come from a statistical background, okay? So which uses a data and then try to make some decision making from that. For every and each and every action, there will be depends upon data. Okay, and what this AI use for a product management and product development, that's a different paradigm. There are a lot of AI tools where your decision making becomes very informed. Okay, most of your decision making has to be informed with the data, or it has to be backed with something. So, and now with the evolution of generative AI basically becomes most of your tasks in product management very useful. So that's the kind of thing. Coming back to your question, madam, how does real life AI is different from the generative AI? So in real life, you think that everything can be possible, okay? I think if you talk about something like for example, you ask me how an AI will be used, okay? So think back to the ages when you have to depend, when you are driving, you have to depend upon someone, okay, where you have to ask a lot of people, you have to talk to a lot of people to reach some place. Now you don't need, right? Everything comes from an, how much of time it takes, and you can give more predictive kind of thing. So that's AI will make your real lives, okay? At the same time, the products which we are trying to build, like I would like to give one highlight about the product which we are trying to build. It's called ALI, Application Lifecycle Management is a concept most of you are familiar with, but we are trying to add that management with an AI and make an application lifecycle intelligence. So when you have an applications to build, this all your applications to be an AI driven. It talks about your past experiences and past failures. That past failures will basically help you to predict the next products and next applications what you are trying to build in a more intelligent way. So these are the few things which you can use. And also we have come up with a product called CVT, which is Computer Vision Toolbox. It's a computer vision is a popular tool. We uses an image data to find out some things. But how this computer vision toolbox are used here is, we are trying to predict any kind of an, it's a detection is different, and prediction of that particular products, whether it's going to be failure or something. So what we are trying to do use here is, we are trying to use a concept called the composite AI framework, and which is kind of thing like we are trying to use the different data at one go to answer a lot of things. Like we are using a process data in manufacturing as well as the image data, and then what we will do is, if you are trying to run a process to make a product, that particular product, whatever we are trying to build, it has to be defect free. At the same time, the process has to be streamlined.
Thank you, Venugopal.
Yeah.
Paucity of time, I'm sorry. Please keep your answers short. Krishna Chaitanya, my question to you is, what does your organization take into consideration to ensure that AI projects lead to tangible beneficial outcomes?
Sure. If you can hear me, I'll do a quick introduction of what we do. I'm the founder and CEO of Zapero. What we basically do is we try and use generative AI to augment the creative workflows of designers in the fashion industry. What we've seen, I mean, it's been a couple of years since I started, working on this startup, and I have a business and an engineering background in the past. What we've seen is, if you see the fashion industry, right, the bottleneck there becomes the creative people. You find a lot of cool people doing all sorts of, design work, and it becomes a very solid, concrete workflow, which is difficult to disrupt. I mean, because it's difficult to program creativity, right? It's a thing of heart. I mean, it's all about arts. It's stuff like that. What we've seen a couple of years ago was that generative adversarial networks, computer vision in general, has the potential to disrupt this creative process. That was the use case we started to pursue, I think, a couple of years ago. We've seen that design is a critical component in this industry, and we thought that building a SaaS product that can sort of mechanize this process, there is some merit to doing it. I mean, end of the day, I'm sort of walking you through the journey of an entrepreneur because that was the use case we pursued, right? What we've realized is while there is benefit, while there is merit to building such a product, monetizing that is very, very difficult. And we started digging deeper into the industry that we were operating in. A lot of people were happy to have AI produce interesting designs. I mean, what you would call prints. I mean, some of you are wearing fabrics which have printed artworks on top of them. It could be a women's dress or a top, etc., right? The industry in general sort of took that with a lot of excitement when we pushed forward, let's say, generative AI solutions as services, but monetizing it was difficult. And then as a company, what we've done is we've expanded our business scope much deeper. So we are now building a vertical AI. So it's no longer just design randomly, but design in the context of the market. For example, in the industry, one of the biggest problems that the fashion industry faces is dead stock, right? There's a lot of hue and cry about the industry being one of the biggest polluters, right? There's a lot of fabric being used up that's not being consumed, that finds its way into landfills, etc. Sustainability is a big problem in the industry. So it sort of comes from, let's say, the speculative nature of the industry as to how they design, what kind of volumes they commit, etc. So we are today at Zapero in the process of building AI which can produce designs that have an increased likelihood of success in the market. Right now, we are sort of bringing a scientific approach to sort of committing fabric and garments. So the idea is to, as a company, make a dent in those dead stocks and sort of improve the profitability of the brands, etc. Right?
Thank you. My creative side perked me up, and I will take it offline with you to understand more about the creativity.
Definitely.
Amit, moving on to you. At Ericsson, what makes AI more accountable, accessible, and understandable for non-experts?
Oh, yeah, so that's actually, that question can be taken up in two ways. One is, how does AI become all of that for people who want to use AI to build solutions? And the other is, how do we make it trustable and explainable to the end users? And both of them are pertinent. To the first question, there has to be an AI literacy in the org. And since you ask about Ericsson, I have seen there's a huge investment in bringing everyone up to a certain level of the AI understanding, its utility, application. Because unless we are there, there is always this either a terminator view of AI, maybe this mic's waxing and waning, as they call it in telecom. Yeah. So basically, training and a lot of this workshops to be able to lift off the entire Ericsson as an organization to a level where everyone gets it. But now the people who solve it definitely go through the next level of understanding, and there's a constant learning in today's world that has to be there to make such things feasible. And obviously there has to be a research angle to everything an organization does, in AI at least, one who's figuring out what is possible, and the other who's actually doing it there and now. So the engineering part, where me and my team are. So we have a huge research team, and then we have this Gaia team, the Global AI Accelerator team, a bunch of data scientists, engineers, and product managers who work together to realize those AI visions from a feasibility study into the production view. To the second part about explainability, trustworthy AI, reliable AI, explainable AI is like no more a wishful thinking, it is an ask. And given the privacy and the GDPR constraints about how's your AI telling something, what is the action I need to take, even from an actionability, accountability standpoint, these are becoming almost like an essential ask in every solution we give. So nowadays we have started thinking about this aspect right from the day we start building the solution. And sometimes, even if it comes at a cost of a little lesser accuracy, we prefer the simpler and more explainable models, because as they call it the Occam's razor, we go for a simpler solution, even if it means a little, dent in the level of accuracy. At the same time, one more thing we do is to build the trust in the client, we have to have the expectations set right. Many times, product managers will find themselves promising the world, curing cancer and whatnot through AI. So that's where we have to set the right expectations and say that what works, it's a probabilistic thing. It will not work every time. But over a period of time, we promise you this kind of a ROI. For example, if we are into predicting a server failure, over a period of time, we'll save you 60% of your revenues or the cost that goes into fixing, because we will be providing predictive maintenance. Last but not least, UX, which even from my experience in ADP into building the AI products, and in Ericsson, we have to keep it simple. Sometimes we get overwhelmed and just throw in all the gauges and meters and whatnots into the UI. The users don't need it. They just need to know as much as they need to know. So exploratory, analysis is what they need to find out, and progressive disclosure, like we call it in the UX parlance, right? So that's what we follow. So
Right.
I'll stop here.
Right. So moving on to the HR space, which both of us belong to, how is AI being used in ADP to improve the management and development of human capital, and what is the impact that you have observed on an employee's growth and productivity?
Okay. A bit of a loaded question, if I may say. It's a learning phase for across the board, especially in large organizations. Like I lean on what Amit mentioned about, and Mr. Dr. Venugopal also mentioned, data. Like we deal with huge, massive amounts of data. The first thing that comes to mind is, how do we have a governance model around this whole, it's definitely got everybody excited. But how can we build a governance model where we have, certain regulations to be taken care of so that we don't mess around with the data. There are data privacy laws we have to be extremely cognizant about, more from the state laws and the country laws. Then come in the client side as well, like, privacy is very critical, and that's where we thrive on as most of the organizations thrive on that aspect. It's confidential, and you don't want to give out data. So how do we protect some of those aspects? That becomes the base foundational elements as an organization. But how do we then translate that back to the employees on the ground? How do they understand about it? One is educating them. We are telling them that yes, we all are excited about this. We want to dip our hands into this. We want this to be enabling our products and solutions to give a better experience for the clients. But at the same time, we need to do it in a measured approach, in a thoughtful approach. So how do we build that ecosystem, the safe space where we can experiment, where we can fail fast, but at the same time not at the cost of data privacy and confidentiality. So we conduct a lot of these forums, like Ranjan and his team have a lot of conversations. We want to encourage and bubble up the information, speak it up. We want people to talk about it and not be hush-hush about it. That's when most of these things can come up. It also helps us understand what the expectations are. How is it that we can enable those forums where people can speak up about some of these things, come up with their ideas? How is it that they can implement, etc., right? Again, I'll go back to the initial point that I had mentioned. It's exciting. You want to use it to the best possible extent, showcase your talent, everything is fine. But what is it solving for you? What is the problem? Fall in love with the problem, take it step by step, and that's where we have to inculcate these habits within the employees as well and ensure them, empower them, and that's the approach that we have taken. So far it's working well, and we are extremely transparent about some of these things and communicating to them as well. So somewhere it's the faith we have in them, and the employees also trust the management in turn that they will be enabling as we move forward on that. So that's
how has productivity improved or changed?
Productivity improved or changed. One of the, I would say, examples that I can talk about is going back to the example that I mentioned about how we did away with case notes, right? I mean, imagine the time you are listening into a call, trying to jot down while, taking the call, and then after keeping the call, you again jot down. The amount of time it takes, right? Massive improvements in productivity. I mean, it's already coming summarized. All you have to do is just look at it. At the end of the day, it doesn't take away your job. It's at the end of the day, there is human intervention always that will come into place to validate what the Gen AI is doing as well. So that's where productivity definitely gains, at least what we are taking feedback from our own associates on how they are finding this experience for themselves, apart from what we are giving to the clients. So massive improvements on that front as well.
Krishna Chaitanya, can you share an example of a product or initiative that has successfully demonstrated AI?
What we do, right? I mean, generative AI, it's probably the coolest thing because...
I like the way he said coolest.
No, it is, right? Otherwise, most of the other things are enterprise solutions, but I think what we are doing is really creative AI, less generative AI, more creative AI. I'm sorry, what was your question again?
I'll read it out for you. Can you share an example of a product or initiative that has successfully demonstrated or democratized AI?
Maybe my answer or my context is not very pertinent to this particular question, but what we've done, the fact that at least in a sufficiently long term, we want to get to a point where consumers can design for themselves, right? We are, in fact, when we started out as a company, our solution was primarily for the large apparel brands. We were working with the likes of H&M, Myntra. The idea was to become a SaaS AI for their design teams. Now we've sort of pivoted away from that, and we are now targeting, what we are witnessing is young consumers, particularly Gen Z, Gen Alpha, their shopping preferences are changing, and they're now no longer buying from these large brands, but they're buying from these influencer-led brands. Like they're shopping a lot on TikTok or places like Instagram. In fact, there's a cool stat. In the first 3 months of this year, in Indonesia alone, TikTok did a commerce of around $3 billion. So the places that we believe people shop, they are moving away. The loyalty that people have for brands is shifting to smaller brands. In the past, we probably had 1,000 brands. We are getting to a point in the future where people are going to shop from 100,000 brands, right? Which means you have smaller and smaller brands catering to smaller and smaller customer, demographics, right? So the reason we exist, the reason a tech company should operate in an industry like apparel, is because of this democratization, right? Is because of this creator economy that's coming up, and we are trying to build tools for those creators. And it's conceivable that in the near future, that consumers can start designing for themselves. I mean, if a woman wants to design an evening dress for herself, it's conceivable that she can actually get on top of, on this platform and sort of input her needs, her context, and AI is going to start giving options. So you're no longer bound by somebody else's creativity. So it's truly opening up creativity in a very commercial space like apparel.
So even if I don't know sea of creativity, I can design a dress for myself?
Precisely. All you need is a vision for what you want, and the idea. So obviously, AI is not going to do all of it, right? And there's a lot of work that needs to be done around it, which is the vertical AI that we are building. The idea is to convert every individual into a creator, at least for themselves.
Wonderful. Dr. Venugopal, as a product leader, what top trends do you foresee in the AI domain, and how are you preparing your team for these changes?
Yeah. See, first of all, the organization we started to change ourselves to a data-driven organization. So obviously, there is a lot of changes of trends and patterns in terms of this. So now, one thing which Krishna Chaitanya is trying to tell, a new trend is emerging called prompt engineering. Okay, so I think in future it's going to be more prompt engineers, and then most of the people, we have a different challenges. The first challenge is people coming from a software engineering background to an AI domain. So that's one challenge which we have to address. So what happens there is they use a different process at all. Like they use a process called DevOps kind of a thing, where they want to make their product into the existing. So the second change here is, if you are coming from an DevOps side of things, it never works in an AI kind of thing. It's going to be, you have to use at one point of an ML. So the first and foremost thing here is, we have to develop an engineers, which are basically an AI engineers, and it is very difficult to find at the context. So what we are trying to do here is, we are trying to develop a citizen developers, do IT by yourself, right? And citizen data scientist. So that's one way we are addressing that. And second thing is the top trends of AI. I already mentioned about prompt engineering and Gen AI. Gen AI for a company with focus of R&D like us is a problematic. We can't use an open AI kind of frameworks here, because our entire things will have issues of the design and other things and R&D kind of thing. So we have to put a lot of governance on the cyber security as well as the governance on people try to use that OpenAI kind of thing. So there is a lot of baggage. And then it also should facilitate the people, they have to use it. Like no, otherwise we will be a backtrend like what Ramesh was mentioning about Nokia was not able to innovate, or Nokia was not able to ready for a disruptive technology and design technology, right? So we also need to be there. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to use and use cases which we have developed, and then we are trying to use the use cases which we are trying to use for our own purpose. So the top trends of AIs are, like I already mentioned, something called composite AI. Composite AI is one fascinating stop. Like now, for example, it's not one-dimensional way you can get a data for one problem. Like for example, talk about a problem like warranty, right? Earlier, warranty used to be driven only through the data of like claims and other stuff. Now you have to use an images and other stuff to be used here. And also we have to get from an, and our company, we have a production to end product. And we deal with a lot of technologies. We build in products which are basically manufacturing and hardware side of it, and also we build in software side of a products. So there's a fusion which is required here. So there will be a transition kind of thing. And I already mentioned about citizen data scientist, which we are trying to build with a lot of coaching and all. The other trend of AI here is Gen AI. I already mentioned about Gen AI and then the open AI kind of a platforms which we have to be little very, very cognizant. And then trust, and then value centers. So these are some of the things which we keep in this. And future AI trends is it's going to be not with an unidimensional analysis, it will be a multi-factored and multi-dimensional ways. So you have to be ready, and at one point of time, we have to make our workforce ready to change. So the digital transformation is one of the biggest thing, and change management is the things which we have to be ready for the future.
Yeah. So I'm coming back to you. In ADP, what is, from the HR space again, as we increasingly incorporate AI into our workplaces, what strategies can be employed to ensure that human skills and talents remain in the forefront of value creation? My second question is, how can AI be used to augment rather than replace human capabilities?
Value creation. So one example I can quote is how we have a product called Role. Recently, it's something that has been Role has been rolled out, and it addresses a market where it's completely digital. There's minimal involvement. You just roll it out to the clients, and it's taken care. It's a conversational user interface, basically, right? So imagine where there are large products that need to be implemented, the amount of life cycle that from an implementation standpoint that you have to go to versus something like so simple that you just implement it quickly and then there is no maintenance needed, etc. So that is more from a value creation of how quickly it can be deployed to clients, how it starts learning immediately and it can answer completely, right? It's not about just somewhere. I remember Mr. Ramesh talking about chat interface where policies, if you have to look at it and it can give you the policy. But however, within the policy, if you have further deeper questions, who, what, why, where, this particular product of ours, it kind of addresses those aspects as well. So how did we get there? That is the second phase where, again, Gen AI, it's like a child. We are the people as human beings and practitioners who have to teach that, unless it can only be as intelligent as the number of it's iteration process. Just like a kid tries to walk, run, and other things, behave. Similarly, it has to be in the similar guardrails. Those guardrails needs to exist, but at the same time, how do we keep iterating it, training it, giving those responses, whether it is right or wrong, at the end of the day, it cannot do it on its own. So that's where human element comes into play in how we can train it better, and that's how, we can go about it.
Will AI replace HR department?
I wouldn't be sitting here if that was the case, because long back I recollect, where a lot of HCM systems came into place, and I remember I started my career long back, 17 years ago, where I was filing documents, and now it's completely digital. You hardly have to file any of the employee records. Does that mean that my job has gone away? No, it's become much more meatier actually, because I can spend that time in other things, right? We become creators, we become designers, developers, more strategic. We become product managers. Everything that we do when we interface with the business leaders on strategy, how do we go about it? It becomes more thinking game rather than operational and transactional stuff. So my job is safe.
I'm sorry, as an HR person, I'm a little more partial to Som. Som, I have another question for you. In the recruitment space, how's it helping? How's it getting people on board much faster?
Yeah. That's one of the hot spaces right now. In fact, a lot of the studies and articles, in case if some of you have already gone through it, you will see that is one of the spaces. Two spaces where Gen AI, especially on the HCM side for HR practitioners, where it has the maximum impact would be on the hiring side, the talent acquisition space, and the second one is the L&D space. The first one, of course, the talent acquisition.
Especially talent acquisition.
Yeah. A lot of churn goes on, you have to sift through so many profiles. How do you create good job descriptions? How do you ensure that you get the right set of resumes for the right roles, what you're looking at? From the amount of, screening that a person might have to do, how can you leverage that, the Gen AI into doing that for you? And rather than sifting, individually going through as a person hundreds of resumes, how can you get those top 20, 25 from Gen AI and then look at it to see the relevance and quickly take it forward from there? So that is one example I can quote.
Thank you. Krishna Chaitanya, can you share an example of a potential risk or challenge you encountered in an AI project, and how is it mitigated?
People talk about the risk AI poses to humanity, and I suppose most of the imagery is around nuclear war, or it's gonna weaponized AI sort of killing people and stuff like that, all that dystopian future. I suppose it is much simpler. AI's risks or to the society are probably more around manipulation of information. For example, it's easy to now create new content, new imagery of things that have not happened, right? It's on places like Twitter, you could post an image that is generated by AI, which actually of an event that hasn't happened, which can trigger a lot of conflict in society. I think the risks posed are probably more around creation of information, which is really generative AI. We're talking about content being created by AI, which is, it's difficult to recognize that it is machine made. And this is still early days. When you go to ChatGPT today, it's going to give you a few answers which sort of look real but are not real. An expert can easily distinguish and say, hey, it's machine made versus human made. If we continue down the path that we are going down, in a few years from now, content generated by AI will be indistinguishable from human generated information, and that has serious societal implications. I suppose that is really the serious risk. And yeah, it's really around generative AI, right? That's a big problem.
Sure. Dr. Venugopal, how does your organization ensure transparency and accountability in its AI implementations?
Yeah, see, first of all, we have one way of working, okay? One of the thing is we'll make accountable, okay? And then the second way is we also ask people to be more innovative, and we provide an equal opportunities and then democratization of things, okay? At the same time, we have a very, we have also in this security aspects like cyber security, and also our communications are more direct. And then we have an comms team which basically works with us to make sure that all the things should be there. And then, as I said, ours is an R&D organization, so all the people knows what is happening there, but we'll also ensure that that information won't get leaked to any other external parties. So to be frank, you'll all get surprised. We are not supposed to use Google in our, okay? Right. So, yeah, no, nothing. But we are more innovative, and we actually work for all the cars, like connected cars, and we also work something like we use an ADAS, which is basically for the cars which goes, and then driverless cars is a future of mobility. But we have a very strong team on generative AI. Okay, we built our own systems, own designs, and everything. But everything will be developed within ourselves. Okay.
Sure. Amit, what skills do you believe will be critical for future product leaders in the era of AI?
One of them will be constant learning. I think that's given because the world's changing too fast. So to be able to figure what's out there as a capability, but at the same time not getting too hyped up is I would say is a very important thing, because like Ramesh also put it, putting the horse behind the cart before the horse. You are trying to, given Gen AI, what can I do with it is the question to ask. Still okay, but I have to use Gen AI and do something with it can be a very misleading attitude to have, and sometimes leads to failure. So in my mind, constant learning and being even more innovative than ever, because the way AI has cut through jobs is no more in order of their being labor intensive and so on. It has cut through the creative aspects, and maybe Gen AI will also solve the problem of data scarcity, which was another thing which probably held up many AI prospects. So I would say all of this put together, but the basics of product management, the product management 101 doesn't change. Knowing the problem, finding the right problem to solve, figuring out, understanding the user. With those in mind, I think we have a bunch of rock stars here, so they'll go all the way into building great products.
All right, we're really running out of time. I want one-line answer from all of you. On a lighter note, if you could have an AI system perfectly perform one task for you in your personal life, what would it be and why?
I have the mic, I could start. Depends on if that AI was like capable in a physical way, then I would use it to keep my room in order, which is actually a mess. If it had emotional capabilities, surpassing human ones, I would use it to maybe understand what my wife means when she says something. I think it's typical husband problem. I don't think I'm just representing myself.
Very, very man answer.
I'll hand it over to Chaitanya.
Personally, I hate driving, so I hope that we'll get to a point soon enough where sort of AI can take over driving, especially at least when you get on a highway, right? But now that I'm here, I just wanted to take a quick minute, and for any aspiring entrepreneurs, there's a lot of product managers here, and I think one logical extension for any product manager is to want to go out into the real world and actually build your own solutions. I just wanted to sort of summarize my own journey over the last 2.5 years as to what we started doing. And to borrow from Ramesh's comments earlier, technology is a necessary condition but not a sufficient condition for building products. And I would take one step further and say product itself is a necessary condition but not a sufficient condition to building a business in the real world, right? You may have a fully, a fluently functioning product, but if you can't monetize it, there's just no sense in doing it. In my own example, I wanted to build a SaaS which designers could subscribe, pay me $10 a month globally. That's, I'm thinking of $100 million revenue, right? Potentially, you're looking at the use case.
We'll have to take it offline. Dr. Venugopal.
Yeah, if you ask me the personal product which I feel like, which manages my my expenses and my financials, okay. So there are a lot of AI apps, but it has to be in some bot which has to tell me, like it at the same time, it should not also tell many times, okay. For example, that's another problem, information overloaded, okay. And then too much of information and then you become a digital addict. Okay, that's the thing. Okay, so it has to be. You should have an alert mechanism, but that alert should be contained to one level.
So, what's your last thought?
Personally, I have a background in computer science engineering and MBA in HR. Throughout my career, I have struggled. Still, actually, I try to find a balance between logic, because primarily I'm driven that way from my thought process, logic, and emotions being in HR. So something that I would probably leverage, Gen AI to find that balance and, make its life harder.
Thank you so much. Wonderful talking to you and learning lots from you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.
Hello, I'm Swaminathan Ganeshan, co-founder and CEO of SmartTail. I'm today at IIIT Hyderabad in the Product Leaders Forum to pitch my startup in this amazing conference. So, what does SmartTail do? So, SmartTail has its deep tech product called as Deep Grade. In a single line, what it does, it grades the handwritten answers of students using artificial intelligence. So, how does it do? A simple test that is actually conducted in the school. The answer papers are scanned and that is uploaded into our platform. The handwritten text of the children are extracted, and we look at the meaning, the intent, and the context of what they've actually written and graded using high-powered NLP and deep technology, and then give out marks, analytics, and more to the teachers. So we are helping the teaching community in identifying the exact learning gaps of where children are actually missing out. Thank you so much for listening.
My name is Haripriya Shivaramakrishnan. I'm a Vice President at Straight Street Global Advisors. Today I have been moderating the panel on mastering product skills in the Gen AI era. It's been fascinating to have a very experienced panel with product, academia, and industry experts. Great forum to represent as well. My takeaway has been continuous learning to keep yourself updated and try ChatGPT. Don't fear from that. Do as much as you can and learn so that you are ahead of the game as well. Thank you so much.
Hello everyone, myself Harsha. I'm founder of a startup called FatCat. So we are incubating right now in CIE IIIT Hyderabad. Like I came here to pitch the startup idea. So my startup is about serving the analytics for higher education institutions. Like most of the colleges and schools are using ERPs and LMS for the data management. We extract the data from the ERPs and LMS and we we craft the analytics to them. Like we predict these analytics would be of like a student performance, faculty performance, and along with that, like we automate the OB process of the higher education institutions, like crafting the reports that need to be submitted to the NAC and NBA, like mandatory bodies. So that's how we have, and we are like in the MVP stage. We have bootstrapped our startup, and like currently we have 3 colleges in Hyderabad. So like hopefully I'm looking for a funding here. Thank you.
My name is Rishikesh, and I'm from Pushpa.ai, acting as a product manager, and we are pitching our product over here from Pushpa.ai. The basic motto of that is providing safety and security using the CCTV analytics, and as well as in the e-commerce industry using the same object detection and almost providing the e-commerce platform where you can automate the entire workflow, like from creating a catalog to having a visual search and removing a background all on the same platform. That we are pitching it over here.
I keep telling people, getting a 9 a.m. start in Hyderabad is like the promise of AI. Okay, it sounds interesting, looks like there are a lot of possibilities, but you're not sure what the end outcome will be, how many people will show up, right? And so far, nothing I've seen today kind of, leads me to believe that there's a variation on that thesis. So next time, maybe Arun and team, think about a 9 a.m. start, particularly on a nice Friday morning. Yeah. Okay. So I think I was just thinking about, as I was driving into this event, I was thinking about what's happening with AI. I don't know how many of you had a chance to read a memo which Sundar Pichai put out, I think, in a couple of days ago. Anyone has read that? Yeah. So please read it. Right. It's a 2,500 word memo on the possibilities of AI. It's in the public domain. You can look it up, and it is surreal. I mean, if you look at how Google is thinking about what they're planning to do with AI. And I think it has profound implications. He also talks about responsible AI and a bunch of other things. But in some ways, again connecting back to the theme of showing up at 9, I was talking to a bunch of folks, including Ranjan here, and I said only people of a certain generation will show up at 9 o'clock, right? So in some ways, I guess we are kind of a little bit privileged that we get to be at the at this point in time, looking at what's happening in AI and how it's going to be game-changing, transformative. So I think obviously, AI is going to be a really fertile ground for innovation and experimentation. So if you look at one of the things I've seen, right, particularly in Hyderabad, and I have to give credit, a lot of credit to Ramesh here for a number of initiatives which they've kicked off. So about a month ago or a couple of months ago, a couple of months ago, we had an event here. We had a GenAI Summit, which was done along with NASSCOM on T-Hub. Ramesh is always known for his interesting choice of venues. So he did it in a pub called Monastery. So we had about 16 GenAI startups. There was a nice dictionary of about, there's a nice compilation directory of about 40 plus AI startups. So clearly, I think there's a tremendous opportunity for Hyderabad to play to play a role as enabling an AI ecosystem and to lead the way, sort of thing, right? So as I was driving up here, I was thinking about how we've already seen. For example, I had to resist the temptation as I was coming in here to go to ChatGPT and say, okay, tell me about the role of AI in product management, because that would be outright plagiarism. So I said we shouldn't do that. So I think you can see already it is affecting the way you think, you talk, you read, you learn, and so on. So tremendous implications for people who are building products and consequently, obviously, product managers, right? I was looking at a report from Gartner, and Gartner, publishes all these nice reports. Some of them have to be taken with a large pinch of salt, sometimes with a large barrel of salt. But I think clearly GenAI is something where the time has come, and I think it will accelerate the innovation process. It will accelerate the quality of what is getting built, the diversity of ideas, and clearly create many more robust and differentiated products. Right. So there were some numbers I was looking at. Another report from McKinsey, right? And I do know sometimes they get some of their predictions wrong, but they tend to be more right than wrong. So they came up with a report where they said the potential of product and business opportunities with GenAI is somewhere in the tune of between 2.6 million to 4.4 trillion in terms of this thing, right? And clearly this is an area where I think as we have a unique opportunity in India, okay, we have a large workforce, okay, we have high quality academic institutions. There's a lot of collaboration happening between industry, academia, right, and the startup ecosystem, right? So there's a tremendous opportunity to help businesses to innovate, to streamline, and then to launch new products, right? So if you look at funding, right, which is something which we track closely, in 2022, GenAI generated about 2.1 billion of funding was raised in 1 year. And I don't think there's been any other stream of work over the last 40 plus years of venture investing where so much capital has been raised, focused on one theme. Part of my job, I have to travel quite a bit. And I was in the Valley, I've been to the Valley twice in the last 3 months. And every time we go and meet a VC and talk to them, the only thing they say is, if you're talking Gen AI, come and talk to us. Otherwise, go and meet someone else. Right? So clearly, the opportunity I think is huge, and I think when you think about it in terms of what I think the impact is going to be, right? It's huge. I think it's going to impact everything which classic product management requires you to look at. I think AI will help you make more data-driven decisions, right? Obviously, because now you have access to large, to looking at large data sets crunching and finding patterns which otherwise would be hard to do. Obviously, there's a significant scope for personalization, okay, being able to deliver specific content, specific messaging, etc. And then obviously many other things around risk management, around automation, around NLP, and so on, right? So I think this is a great forum. I was looking at the list of people who are going to be here, and kudos to the organizers for putting together a high quality list of speakers. I'm sure the deliberations will lead to a lot of discussion, lots of new ideas will get generated, and hopefully this is another step in our collective endeavor here to make both Hyderabad, Telangana, and obviously India the place to be. There's no reason why, everyone knows about the Sam Altman thing, right? You can't build something with 10 million. I think we'll prove him wrong, right? And hopefully whatever we are doing here today would be a good next step in that process. Okay, so thank you for having me here, and I do hope you'll have some really interesting, you'll get to hear to some really interesting folks. But more than that, I think the conversations you'll have during the breaks is what will really enrich a meeting of this type. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
By the way, it's so awesome to see so many familiar faces here today. So that was wonderful. Thank you for having me here. So as we kick off this Product Leaders Forum, I'd like to share some thoughts on the exciting future of product management and transformative impact of Gen AI. Additionally, I'd like to highlight the growth of product management in India and discuss our vision for the future. So first and foremost, I'm very proud to represent ADP, a global leader in human capital management with revenues exceeding $18 billion and a client base exceeding 1 million. At ADP, we have leveraged decades of data and expertise to provide our clients with invaluable, actionable insights. We understand that in today's rapidly changing business landscape, data is the new currency, and insights are key to informed decision making. So as we look ahead, we recognize that Gen AI is not just the future, but it is central to our strategy at ADP. So we are dedicated to leveraging the power of Gen AI to engineer products that are not just great, but exceptional. And we have distilled our strategy into 3 simple but profound principles. Make it easy, make it smart, and make it human. So first, make it easy. In an increasingly complex world, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So we recognize that our clients want solutions that are intuitive, user-friendly, accessible. And Gen AI allows us to reimagine user experiences. We've already actually released some versions of Gen AI integration which enables that and makes complex processes feel effortless and empowers our clients to focus on what matters most, which is their people and their business. Next, make it smart. It's about leveraging the vast reservoir of data at our disposal to provide actionable insights. So Gen AI enables us to analyze data at a scale and speed which was once unimaginable. We aim to offer our clients not just data, but the wisdom to make informed decisions that drive their success. In a data-driven world, being able to see the big picture and the tiny details is what's going to set us apart. And finally, make it human. In a world where technology threatens to dehumanize the interactions, ADP is committed to keep the human touch alive. Our products should enhance the human experience, not replace it. And Gen AI should help enable better human connections, support meaningful interactions, and foster a sense of community. So what does it mean for the future of product management in India? It means that we are at the forefront of transformative journey. Our country has evolved from being a service provider to a global hub of innovation. And MSR is a classic example. We are witnessing a surge in talent and capabilities, making India a force to be reckoned with in the tech world. As product management leaders, it's our responsibility to nurture talent, mentor the next generation, and continue to raise the bar for excellence in product development. It is forums like this one that play a pivotal role in bringing product people together. They provide a platform for collaboration, knowledge sharing, challenging conventions, and networking. As we move forward, let's consider how we can strengthen these communities, foster innovation, and collectively shape the future of product management. In conclusion, I do believe we stand at the threshold of an exciting era of product management driven by the power of Gen AI. ADP is committed to leading the way by making our products easy, insightful, and human-centric. Together, as a community of product management leaders, we have the opportunity to drive innovation, mentor future talent, and shape the future of our industry in India. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
By the way, it's so awesome to see so many familiar faces here today. So that was wonderful. Thank you for having me here. So as we kick off this Product Leaders Forum, I'd like to share some thoughts on the exciting future of product management and transformative impact of Gen AI. Additionally, I'd like to highlight the growth of product management in India and discuss our vision for the future. So first and foremost, I'm very proud to represent ADP, a global leader in human capital management with revenues exceeding $18 billion and a client base exceeding 1 million. At ADP, we have leveraged decades of data and expertise to provide our clients with invaluable, actionable insights. We understand that in today's rapidly changing business landscape, data is the new currency, and insights are key to informed decision-making. So as we look ahead, we recognize that Gen AI is not just the future, but it is central to our strategy at ADP. So we are dedicated to leveraging the power of Gen AI to engineer products that are not just great, but exceptional. And we have distilled our strategy into 3 simple but profound principles. Make it easy, make it smart, and make it human. So first, make it easy. In an increasingly complex world, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So we recognize that our clients want solutions that are intuitive, user-friendly, accessible. And Gen AI allows us to reimagine user experiences. We've already actually released some versions of Gen AI integration which enables that and makes complex processes feel effortless and empowers our clients to focus on what matters most, which is their people and their business. Next, make it smart. It's about leveraging the vast reservoir of data at our disposal to provide actionable insights. So Gen AI enables us to analyze data at a scale and speed which was once unimaginable. We aim to offer our clients not just data, but the wisdom to make informed decisions that drive their success. In a data-driven world, being able to see the big picture and the tiny details is what's going to set us apart. And finally, make it human. In a world where technology threatens to dehumanize the interactions, ADP is committed to keep the human touch alive. Our products should enhance the human experience, not replace it. And Gen AI should help enable better human connections, support meaningful interactions, and foster a sense of community. So what does it mean for the future of product management in India? It means that we are at the forefront of transformative journey. Our country has evolved from being a service provider to a global hub of innovation. And MSR is a classic example. We are witnessing a surge in talent and capabilities, making India a force to be reckoned with in the tech world. As product management leaders, it's our responsibility to nurture talent, mentor the next generation, and continue to raise the bar for excellence in product development. It is forums like this one that play a pivotal role in bringing product people together. They provide a platform for collaboration, knowledge sharing, challenging conventions, and networking. As we move forward, let's consider how we can strengthen these communities, foster innovation, and collectively shape the future of product management. In conclusion, I do believe we stand at the threshold of an exciting era of product management driven by the power of Gen AI. ADP is committed to leading the way by making our products easy, insightful, and human-centric. Together, as a community of product management leaders, we have the opportunity to drive innovation, mentor future talent, and shape the future of our industry in India. Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Hi, my name is Jeva. I'm part of ServiceNow. I work at Hyderabad office, and I got invited to this product leadership forum where I had to talk about generative AI and all the use cases and how it's going to be useful for PMs. So generative AI is a very nascent technology for everyone to use that technology, but most importantly, the product managers have to know how to use that technology and how to define it and how to create end user experiences out of it. And this is where this talk I thought will be helpful for all the product managers who attended this product leadership forum. Thank you.
My name's Arnav. I go to Oak Ridge International School in Hyderabad. I'm in 11th MPC, and I've actually written a book for ISF. It's a book on quantum physics, astrophysics, and engineering. I've been writing a book for the past 3 years. I've compiled scientific studies, lectures, author journals, author biographies, and different theorems from across about 50 to 60 years, and I've compiled all of them into my book. I've actually published it last month. It's called Unveiling the Cosmic Symphony. With the book, I plan on getting it published in scientific journals, scientific research, biologies, and different scientific catalogs. I want to put the extract of my book and everything I've written into maybe college studies as well. I've actually been contacting Caltech, Stanford, Harvard professors about this. In general, I want to be a physicist, so I've been working on God equations and superstring theory to create a unified framework. I've been researching unified frameworks. So in the future, I'd love to develop and work on unified frameworks.
Stay informed about the startup ecosystem. Subscribe to MyStartupTV.
Welcome to MyStartupTV. I'm MajorSunilShetty. We are at the day 3 of India Startup Festival 2023, and I have a very special guest with me today, who's Abhirami Sukumaran, who's the developer advocate at Google and also a mentor with startups. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Major. I'm a developer advocate at Google, and additionally, I also mentor startups as part of Google Startup Accelerator program. From a technology perspective, I do that as part of my role as well. So that's a little bit about me.
So you are today here at the round table. Just share a little bit about your experience. What was the key takeaway for you from the startup? All those people, those stalwarts who come from in different capacities who were at the round table.
I should say I was overwhelmed with the amount of experience, and majority of them were serial entrepreneurs. Some of their ventures are startups and some of their ventures are already very well established businesses. So it was really a lot of stuff to learn from their experience, predominantly in the areas of what kind of customer experience is required and how to scale for startups, and also like skill and how do they scale their skill set, their resources, how they maintain it. So all those things were very interesting for me from different industries and backgrounds as well. There was obviously very hyper-local industry, like agriculture specific to India, and there were industries ranging from beauty, cosmetics, and security, and all such areas. So that was very interesting for me. And one other thing which was fascinating was how every industry today is able to use technology and AI to grow from where they are to take that leap with their businesses. So that was exciting.
Very, very true, very true. So we've been hearing this through the event, through the festival. As a mentor yourself, you mentor startups. What has been your experience in the since you started? What kind of progress have you seen among startups when it comes to use of technology and especially AI?
That's been a very interesting experience for me, working or interacting with startups, because they are starting from, there are different range of startups. Some already know what exactly they want. Some envision a future with certain specific technology. And there are some who don't know what they want. So I learn from people who already know and already are right there. And they just come in for, hey, I have a few questions. Will this work with this? How do I integrate this? Mostly all from technology perspective is what I mentor them on. So particularly Google Cloud specific topics. And I predominantly focus on data, databases, and that area, AI, ML. So around data and databases and use of machine learning, use of technology for doing data analytics and all. So I take that experience from people who are already established and startups who know what they're doing and how it adds value, and also engage them or encourage them to fix certain things that they are having gaps with, and also showing them opportunities to integrate their existing solutions. That way they eliminate the waste and use only focus on the things that they really need to grow their business. And I use that experience and I use that knowledge with people who are still discovering what they want, and also with the startups who are white paper. They know they have the business idea, but from a technology perspective, they get fascinated by the things that technology provides. For example, Google Cloud, in the different services that we have, they get excited about, oh, I can do this with BigQuery, I can do this with the Vision API. Oh, I want to read video, I want to be able to extract details or insights or metrics from my video, images. So that kind of excites them. So different kind of audience. So yeah, that has been the experience for me so far.
So in that capacity, I'm sure startups have benefited from your understanding, your knowledge and experience with technology. Has it been for you also learning from the startup and taking it into your profession?
Definitely, because the kind of challenges, technological and platform challenges that startups face can easily, if you think startup in a way is, if you're running a project in a big organization, for example, if it's your brainchild, if it's your idea, you're pitching your idea to your leadership and they accept it and they say, go run it, here is your team. It is very similar to running a startup, except that there you'll have the approval and you're guided and you're funded or sponsored, I should say, by your leadership. And in startups, it is you're doing it, but with external folks to begin with, right? So it's very much so, there is so much to learn, and definitely like how they are looking at things and how they scale things, or what are the opportunities that lie ahead of them, is something that I always learn from. It has been a thorough learning experience for me.
So, India Startup Festival, how has that been for you? I know you come today for the event.
Yeah.
So far, whatever you've seen, experienced, can you share your thoughts about it?
Definitely. So I just came in here for the third day of the event, and like I said before, it was overwhelming for me to see the place itself is gigantic. It's happening here in the outskirts of Bangalore, so it's a huge space, and there are so many booths with startups and other sponsors who are pitching, who are talking about that to people who are walking around. And for me, it's one, overwhelming, and two, a lot of networking experience, a lot of connections with people, both from a technology perspective, and also it's really fun. There were a few colleges who have this incubation center, or they have this innovation wing. This college from Chandigarh, I forget the name of the college, but it's really interesting that they have the final year of the college dedicated for doing startups or building ideas. So I found that very intriguing, because that should be the way. That's the way forward for India. That's like building for India, like grooming them then and there and allowing them the opportunity. I think most universities should start doing that if that is that way. Correct.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And the ideas that they have, it's amazing. I don't want to talk about their ideas for them, but definitely very fun ideas, like customized. I mean, I don't want to talk about the ideas, but it's really fun. I enjoyed every single moment of it.
And finally, any advice you have from a technology standpoint for the startups? About what should they see in coming time, or what should they start doing now to be there with the technology?
This is one thing that I always emphasize. So there is a thin line between ideation or execution is always a contemplation for startups or anyone who has an idea. People always, I can only speak from the technology perspective because I am not an entrepreneur myself. I work, but then ideation is where people keep grinding their ideas and talking to people about it, which is good. But at some point, you've got to start executing, and you have to start somewhere, from a technology perspective at least. And yes, don't jump straight into building your product, straight into writing the code for the product if it involves technology, your business. Always, it is important to have a balance between ideation and to do the design considerations, design discussions, see what kind of data you're using, how else can I pivot it? Like, what is the future? 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, a quarter, half a year, or a year, or 3 years. Just have a plan for all the things that you could do with the data that you have right now. And you might be even creating data out of your business, which might be looking like it's waste of storage, but think about the ways that you can repurpose that into your own business or pivot into something that could be useful. And also do all the design considerations for applications or database or whichever data that you're building and storing, and make sure you think about the security perspective, privacy, regulatory requirements, and everything. Think about all the design considerations, and then rinse and repeat and build your product, and not build, before finalize your architecture. And one important thing is, I would say, after you rinse and repeat and do this brainstorming within your team, whether it's a one-person team or a big team that you have, make sure you identify the things that you don't need, because majority of the time, startups or any project gets stuck or gets fascinated by all the things that you can use. But make sure that you are using the things that you need, not really just because it's there. So that will save a lot of effort, resources, and cost as well. So yeah, that's one thing I would.
So would you say at what stage technology should start becoming part of a startup? At what stage? Because very early stage startups probably don't have the kind of funding required, and there also, are there anything that they can tap into as a free resource where they can use the technology? And more importantly, at what stage? The very early stage, after reach a certain level of traction, what would you suggest as a technology person? How would you suggest? What would you suggest?
So you would know right off the start whether your business is going to involve technology or not. If it is not a tech product or a tech startup, let's say if it's in some other field, But still, if there is room for technology, think about it alongside your idea. It has to come from the beginning. You can't just plug it.
That into your
Yeah. Even if you don't have funding for it right now, think about what all you can do to prototype it with free resources, or like the Google for Startups accelerator programs. If you have an idea and you have a vision for it, just try out those things. That will allow you to see what are the resources out there that are. Just go and check the websites of these programs and just see what resources you can tap into to equip yourself with prototypes, to equip yourselves with applications. And not that you have to build all those things day zero, but at least think about it from the beginning. From beginning is what I would say.
So MyStartupTV is a media house for startups, and we provide 360-degree coverage, an exclusive media house. What do you think about the work we're doing?
I really love the concept. With media and news and information being digitized, I think that's the way to go. Definitely. I mean, I'm really excited about that. It's nice.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
About the startup ecosystem, subscribe to MyStartupTV.
My name is Ajay Tiwari and I am the CEO of Happy Locate.
Hi, my name is Sainad. I'm the CBO of Happy Locate.
Tell us about what the company is all about.
Wonderful. I would love to talk about it. So Happy Locate is in fact India's first tech platform for any corporates to automate their employee relocation management. So amongst 14.5 lakh corporates in this country, we are the only option for any corporate who wants to automate and manage their employee relocations. And people can come and they can also book services like packing, moving service, your house search assistance and pet relocations, all on a single platform. So that's what we do.
14 lakh, that's a huge number, isn't it? And there's no competition. How do you keep yourself up to the challenge, because there is competition?
So this is I think it's an interesting question, by the way. So out of 14 lakh corporates, right now, I think relocation as a service had been there for decades. And there have been traditional solutions available in the market. What is required with the changing new age CHROs and the talent and the new talent is something which is related to, which can make their experience better through technology which can be tracked. And this is something that we are doing now. While we rely on a lot of reliable or genuine packers on the ground, or service partners on the ground, and something which had been motivating us to go one notch upper every time is the technological intervention that we are bringing to make sure the relocations on our platform are better, faster, and more affordable.
How has been this event for you as a company and personally, your thoughts?
I personally